Hi, I'm Yodicha. So I thought of doing this video to record a bit about certain things I find very important and very important to share. Uh, so what is it so important to share? I think some of the closer friends who know me very well, realize that I've quitted certain bad habits and started to pick up lots of reading. Now you may ask, like, what do I actually do other than to teach? Maybe shoot YouTube videos. What else do I really do? Maybe ride the electric unicycle. Maybe ride the Duotron Man. I don't really have a lot of hobbies, but one of those hobbies that really take up a lot of my time is reading. And to quote why I think reading is so important, Charlie Munger, he ever said this that, have you ever heard of a wise man that doesn't read a lot? Not that I'm trying to be wise, but reading enables me to know more about the experiences of others. It allows me to understand those experiences which others have went through. That shortens my learning curve a lot because it means that I will not have to go through as much of those costly and damaging mistakes. And I would be able to make far greater progress in my personal development, and I would be able to learn a lot faster compared to having to fall and pick up myself. Right, the process of falling and learning is very painful and tedious. And when I first came to read this book, which was Poor Charlie's Almanac, I thought that was a very interesting book, quite well illustrated, a lot of illustrations, a lot of examples. It started to bring to me that perhaps it is true that if you do read enough, it does start to make a lot of sense, because with the large amount of knowledge they acquire, these knowledge start to connect. They start to connect like dots. To quote Steve Jobs, the dots that can only be connected backwards rather than being connected forward. And many a time in our lives, we start to ask, like, why is it that I do this? Why is it that I do that? Happened to me too. I used to ask a lot of questions when I was younger. Like, why do we need to do this, that, and finally it made sense because if not for the experiences of the past, it wouldn't be possible to do certain things in future. And to quote Jeff Bezos, we are our choices. Right? What we are is a function of our choices. So it is very interesting, as I read, I find there's this evolution of thought, very powerful, right? And some very nice books that I find quite meaningful to read, and I highly recommend that you all spend time to read. One of them is Principles, a very wonderful book written by Ray Dalio. Another is Poor Charlie's Almanac. All of these are wonderful literature because it shows so much, It captures so much of a person's experience. After all, how best to transfer experiences of one to another or to many through the books, right? One day, certain colleague asked, what's the best advice I could give a student or maybe a learner or someone coming up to work? I think one of the best experiences I can give and very useful advice I could give is read a lot, and make your mistakes early rather than later. Because when you're younger, the mistakes you make are generally much easier to recover from. But when you're too old, there's no point in making too many mistakes because you might not have the capacity to recover from these mistakes. And I realized, other than going through these mistakes on your own, is to go through books. Good pieces of writing helps you to understand these experiences, helps you to understand the gravity of these lessons earlier, and you wouldn't have to go through all these painful mistakes. And that leads me to today's very important advice I'd like to share with everyone. That is the importance of reading. Of course, you know what, as I share this, some of you might say that sounds like rubbish, because fact is that how much time do you have to read? You may say that I have no time, I work 8 to 5. But don't forget, in the morning when you go to work, if you take the train, if you take the bus, you have easily half an hour to maybe an hour of traveling. You could spend that half an hour to 1 hour of traveling, reading. Now while waiting for your food during lunch, you could have another 15 minutes to half an hour to read. And when you're going home at about 5 p.m., that journey home is another half an hour to 1 hour. And that gives you another half an hour to 1 hour of reading time. And before you sleep, there is another half an hour to 1 hour of reading time that you can afford. So in the day, easily, you're looking at 2 hours of available reading time. And in a matter of 1 year, 2 times 365 gives you 7 over 100 hours of reading time. That's incredibly powerful. Right? So who is to say that you have no time to read? And I think, it's very unfortunate that, some people insist that they really have no time. But that's how I spend time. I make about 2 hours a day just to read. And today when I shoot YouTube, that's also an opportunity for me to reflect upon what I've read, what I've gathered from the books. One person that had particularly impressed upon me, left behind a very strong impression, was David Rubenstein from Carlyle Group. He said this. He said that he reads about 150 books a year. And I believe that is possible. But for normal people like me, to be able to read 10 books, I think that's quite an achievement in a year. So I do hope that, with this sharing, or I share this with my students all the time, you'll find that how on earth we manage to remember all that, because there's something that I do differently from many others. That is, I pursue knowledge with passion. I do not pursue knowledge because it's a job, or it's part of my teaching duties. I pursue knowledge because I thoroughly enjoy the process of doing so. That when you start to connect the knowledge like dots, it becomes so enlightening. It makes everything so easy to understand. So I find great satisfaction in doing so. Right? Of course, there'll always be distraction. Like I could spend my time maybe playing the phone, playing some app game. Right? Again, it all comes back to a matter of choice. So I come to the end of my sharing. And today's sharing is really a piece of advice that I share with many of my students, and I hope that the same can be of use to all of you out there. Thank you for watching.